Okay, we are back, gaming and talking about our most recent book. We are up to part 1. We've finished part 1 of Second Foundation, the third book in the Foundation series by Isaac Asimov. What'd you think? The one thing I know so far you said is the Second Foundation people are badass.
I really like
cool.
the Second Foundation people. I am so happy. I really feel like the weakest part of this entire series so far was just the first part of book 2, because the first part of book 3 is a banger.
And that's why it's so funny. Behind the scenes facts, I started rereading this one first, and I was saying something, and I was about the psychic powers, and I was like, oh no, but you didn't really catch. I just said like one sentence, and I could tell you didn't know what the hell I was talking about, and I was like, and you were going on about something, because I got the order of the book screwed up. So that was pretty funny.
That was really funny. He started reading book 3, trying to catch up to me on book 2.
It's called Second Foundation. I forgot that it's Foundation Empire at number 2. Anyways, it opens with the mule, who was exposed as being a psychic freak, a mutant, one of the X-Men.
Muty, rocking everywhere.
And he is rocking everywhere. He's trying to find Second Foundation because your girl Bay, she killed our Second Foundation man before he could give up the location.
Yeah, Bay killed the professor that was gonna literally tell the mule where it was.
I guess he wasn't from Second Foundation, right? He was just researching.
No, he was just a researcher. He was actually the only psychologist on Foundation 1. That I always conveniently forget is called Terminus.
Yeah, it's alright. So then he has his mind-controlled slave in the form of Pritchard.
Yep.
Who was...
He made Colonel, and when he takes over your mind, they call it converting, so he converted Pritchard.
Yeah.
And he had not converted, but he had tampered with Bay's husband's mind. I did find out why the mule... So, like, there's this whole scene where the mule's looking at Bay.
Yeah.
Longingly.
He's infatuated.
Well, it's actually at the end, and she could sense his ulterior motives.
From the freaky, lanky boy.
She basically was like, no, I wouldn't have sex with you.
Wow. Asimov would not have used that word.
No, she said it
will in some other books.
Eloquently and discreetly. But she basically was like, ill. No, I'm married.
Yeah.
But it turns out he's infertile.
I imagine.
Which is one of the other. It should have been obvious to me because I know how mules work. But
yeah, how these mutant fellers.
I forget.
Yeah, he was going to be involuntarily infertile, anyways.
He can't reproduce.
Described as being super lanky and super just weird looking. Like they say, he named himself the mule to sound like a big, strong brute, when really is the exact opposite.
But that was one of the things that Bay had told him, that one of the reasons why he couldn't find the Second Foundation, or like they couldn't help him, was because technically if you were to take the Second Foundation out, he could in theory reproduce and like enslave the human race by just creating a giant new race of mutants that are born with the ability to mind control.
Yeah. Like you said, in the first one, they mentioned that they already kind of were aware of this possibility. Yeah, it's super rare, but...
Harry Seldon knew there was a chance. That's the whole point of the Second Foundation. They're the fail-safe to the Harry Seldon plan. Because Harry Seldon's plan, it revolves around human... Like, there being no giant changes in, like, technology or society.
Yeah. And...
something else. I'd have to look at my notes.
Yeah, but basically mapping out people, so the idea of this mental
predictable human emotion and reaction to stimuli.
Yeah.
So if people are reacting
so far outside of normal human behavior,
then they're being manipulated, and that's if it's done by a person.
To compare it, like, we're not arachnids.
It's not a technology. It's got to be a mutation.
Yeah. Like, picture some animals that just, their behavior is totally insane compared to, like, how a human would react to protecting their family or their offspring or something. Like, So if something evolves somehow that's so unhuman, then that's gonna not be predictable by Selden's psychohistory. Jesus, I just bombed myself
Dang.
twice
Don't
from
do that.
orbit. No, they spawned me in my own mortar. Anyways, Pritcher is our Foundation man, our big hero that is now a mental slave. It's really
Well,
written well.
he wanted to be like, he intended to kill the mule, and he
Mhm.
got forced over.
And he can weirdly remember that he wanted to do that, but it doesn't. But it's so alien, and it's not true, kind of, to him. It's like if you showed a video of somebody doing something, like, but that's not me. You know, like he
can't believe ever thinking that he hated the mule, because when he was converted, all his feelings towards the mule immediately became love and loyalty, and
But the mule doesn't remove these memories that he was pursuing him.
He
That they
can't-
were like
he's
arch
able to.
enemies.
so in book 2 he mentions that even if, because he was communicating with his fleet in book 2, and he was like, even if you guys would have caught me communicating with my fleet, I would have just easily taken that memory out and deleted it, basically.
Yeah.
You guys would just have a gap
Yeah.
where that memory,
You wouldn't really know why. You walk
where
in a
that
room, you forget
happened.
why you went in there.
yeah.
Like, this happens often, and when it's done, you know, and as it's with the expertise that he can, like, you wouldn't know that you didn't know. You know what I mean?
You'd just be like, oh, that's weird.
Yeah.
I could have sworn.
Picture a color that you don't know exists. Or,
Actually, Pritchard, he actually says, I think I said his name right?
yeah. Yeah, for once, we got an easy name. Pritcher. Jesus.
He mentions, he's like, I know he converted me, but I don't remember how it felt. I know it was painless.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't even notice, or
Yeah,
like,
when the moment was. Like, I remember sitting
must
in
be
that
so
chair, and that's when they took
instantaneous.
over. Yeah.
and it is true. Like in the book, we have. Are we gonna do like a recap, or you just want to talk about?
No, yeah. I mean, go over, I guess, wherever you think in order, like, makes sense. But
Well, basically, we have Pritchard and this guy that he's been assigned to like team up with. They go to this remote planet, and they're hunting for the Second Foundation.
because that's what he was doing at the end of book 2, and he almost got it. So now they're continuing. We're picking up and continuing the hunt for Second Foundation.
They basically land on a super remote, like, this planet is so remote, and the people literally trade in like pelts and milk, and the planet is, I forget, like, their sun is weak, so it like
it's cold,
snows
everything's icy,
9 out
right?
of the 12 months, I guess. And so the people like welcome them, and they try to be as hospitable as possible, because they've been basically told that these people are coming to be nice to them, be as hospitable as possible,
Which was a cool plot. Like, you don't know that they knew that they were coming for a while. That was like a big, wait, how'd you know we were coming?
Yeah. So they are, that ticks Pritchard off. The mayor's like, I'm gonna talk to you guys tomorrow, or like the mayor's gonna come meet you guys tomorrow, or the elders are gonna come see you tomorrow, and whatever. And so Pritchard's like kind of high alert, because he's like, none of these people should know that we were even coming. Like, this is such a remote planet, and we didn't tell anyone we were coming, and they don't know us. Like, what is happening? So he has a relay that he's been using to communicate with the mule, and the mule knows where they are. So he corners the guy that he's with.
I was gonna say, you want to talk about Chanis first? Chanis is
the guy he's with.
But it's super important why the mule picked him.
Is it bad that while we were reading, I was like, finally, I can think of him as Chandler?
Whatever helps. Whatever floats your starship, man. It's a really cool dynamic that the mule knows that someone is something, I should say, is interfering with his psychic control. His
Someone's been
conversion.
tampering with his converted people.
But because they're not doing it, they're doing it in such an intelligent and long scale and subtle way that he can tell it's not just like some other mutant. It's not like a small. He says it's got to be the Second Foundation, somebody that could play such a long game and do this so well. And so that's why he has his slave Pritcher, his mental slave Pritcher, but he also wants to have somebody that's not been converted yet. And so that's what Channing,
Well,
right?
he
Janice,
says
sorry,
he
Janice.
says that's what he wants, but truthfully,
Hmm.
he's onto this Channing boy, because Pritchard basically corners Channing, and he's like, "Hey, I have a feeling that you are a traitor," and
Yeah.
Channing's like, "How do I know that you're not the traitor?
Mm-hmm.
Because technically you were the one that's been having your mind tampered with, and how do I know I can trust you?"
Mm-hmm.
So they're basically in this, like, they're kind of like pointing fingers at each other, and he's like, "The mule's coming." I know he is. And Channing's like, "How do you know the mule's coming?" And it's not that the Second Foundation, what is this thing?
And he has his blaster and pointed at him this whole conversation. Sorry, you just used the airdrop to get a very cool thing.
Oh, yeah.
Little robot, and nothing happened.
I didn't get to launch.
Yeah.
I don't know how to use it. I didn't get to launch it.
It's
We just
okay.
won. So they're in a standoff, and basically Janice is trying to, like, trick Pritchard into thinking that he has been compromised,
Mm-hmm.
because he technically has, but not to the extent that he thinks.
Yeah.
But it turned, 15 minutes later, as Pritchard had predicted, the mule shows up, because the mule had been following them.
Mm-hmm.
So the mule looks at Janice, and he's like, "I always knew you were a Second Foundation dude.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't send you here because I needed an unconverted dude. I sent you here because I never trusted you. And I had a feeling that you were a problem, because everybody likes you, and you're way too confident, and you're
Mhm.
never worried. Like, when I told you about this mission, every other guy would have been nervous about it, and you were like, yeah, this makes sense. And way too many red flags in your mind.
Yeah.
So
Because
I know it, and I know that you've been tampering with my guy after I tampered with him."
Mhm.
Like,
and the guy's in the middle who has been mind controlled and now infiltrated by two different people.
yeah, he's just sitting there going crazy. And then basically the mule takes out a gun, and he's like, "I'm gonna kill you." And what Janice does is he enters Pritchard's mind,
Mm-hmm.
and, like, removes a lot of the stuff, like the bonds. They call
Mhm.
it bonds, but he, like, basically removes, like, the bonds that the mule had, so that Pritchard can once again feel hatred. So Pritchard immediately, like, remembers that he really hates the mule. He was
Mhm.
planning to kill the mule, and what the mule did was take his mind and twist it, and for the last, like, 5 years or something, he's been a slave, basically like his puppet, doing whatever he wants him to do.
Yeah.
And so that just, like, the mule's, like, staring at Janice, and Janice is like, "All right, here's the deal. You can shoot me, but he's gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Or you can deal with him.
Yeah, you can go back
Like,
to
you
focusing
can
your mind on him, but you can't
focus
focus on
taking
both of
over
us.
him again, but you're
Yeah.
gonna not be able to continue attacking me,
Mm-hmm.
or try, like, you're gonna have to disarm yourself or whatever."
You
So,
can't mentally control both of them.
I hate this guy with the shield.
Uh,
So he ends up deciding to regain control of Pritchard and puts his ass to sleep. And he's like, "My only mistake was having you, like, not meeting you by myself. Having Pritchard here,
Mhm.
he added
Yeah,
too many
exactly.
variables."
Yeah. Which
He's
is the
like,
point. It's
"I
like, well, yeah,
knew-"
that's why you got outmaneuvered by the Foundation man.
Yeah. So he actually starts torturing. So, like, the Foundation man knows, because the same way that the mule was meant to meet them,
Mm-hmm.
because he knew they were being followed, his people are also working on meeting them. So
The Second Foundation.
yeah, the Second Foundation.
Yeah.
So he starts trying to stall for time, and the mule catches on to him, and he's like, "Haha, you can't do an evil genius,
long
evil guy,
speech.
a villain speech like I can.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tired of giving you enough time." Like, so he enters his mind, and he, like, forces him to tell him the location of the Second Foundation, and it turns out it's right there. The planet that the mule had attacked, thinking it was the Second Foundation location, was incorrect.
Yeah.
It was a farce.
Mm-hmm.
He had fallen for their trap once again.
Mm-hmm.
The true Foundation was right there on the planet Rossum.
Yeah.
Like,
So he-
Ross.
Yeah, I know.
Uh,
So he gives up. So Pritchard says the name of the.
Not
place.
Pritchard.
I mean, Janice. Yeah. Yeah, Chanis gives up the name Rossum, right?
Yeah. So the
As
mule's
the-
super excited.
Yeah, so
He just starts to send Chanis plummeting into darkness
mm-hmm.
mentally.
Mm-hmm.
Which I'm
His
assuming
mental
like
torture thing.
yeah. When all of a sudden, like it's super painful, and then all of a sudden Chanis wakes up because he feels relief and he opens his eyes and they're all blurry and teary because it was painful.
He sardonically opens his eyes.
Sardonically. And he sees standing before him, sort of, at the doorway, is the first speaker.
Yeah.
Which, they don't tell you off the bat, but it seems like the first speaker's kind of like the big dog.
Yeah, it's like the mayor.
Of the Second Foundation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So
they call their leaders mayor in the first, and it seems like first speaker.
Yep. The first speaker stands before the mule and has removed some of the hold that the mule has on Chanis's mind.
Mm-hmm.
And the mule's like, well, I've already ruined him. And he's
Yeah.
like, we can literally bring him back.
Yeah.
We'll be fine.
Mm-hmm. We're the big X-Men.
Yeah. I am Professor Xavier. Bitch.
Yeah.
So, the mule's like, well, I already got the location. And poor Chanis is like, I didn't mean to do it.
Yeah, he's literally, that's the
clawed
first
at
words out
my
of his mouth, and then he
brain.
comes back, he's like, he knows that's Rossum, I'm sorry, I couldn't do anything, I have no excuse. He's like, I have no...
And the speaker's looking at him, and you're thinking it's game over, and I'm knowing it's not, but it's okay.
right of brain.
And then, of course, he's like, well, then, he's like, the mule's like, don't worry, I'm going to kill all you guys anyway, because, I mean, I guess you guys could also come to being converted by me, and I could see where that would be useful, but I don't know if y'all are more trouble than you're worth. And I kind of don't trust you. So, I kind of don't want to go that route. I'd prefer to just annihilate you people.
Yeah.
And the speaker's like, well, I have a tidbit of knowledge that you don't have. That's super important before you kill me and then end up just being sad about it. You should probably know this. And the mule's like, no,
he's like, I already know everything I need to know, fool.
I have a serious issue with curiosity. Tell me.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll keep you alive for another few minutes if you just speak quickly. And then the speaker was like, well, the truth is that the location that you've been told is not the location of the Second Foundation.
You've been triple dog.
What?
You've been triple tricked.
You've been triple doggy dared.
Mm.
And he goes, well, what do you mean? He told me.
Bah?
And I went through his mind. I squished him. I pounded him.
And he can tell. He told the truth. He really told.
He's like, I know. I made it impossible for him to lie to me through his mind.
Yeah.
And he goes, well, yes, but we literally made it so that he would believe this.
Yeah, we're like, we lied to him, dum-dum.
You forget that I said that he volunteered for this mission. And when he volunteered, he succumbed to actual brain...
Yeah, foundation level mind tricks, fool.
Memory. Sir, we're not just anybody.
Yeah. We're the Foundation. Second Foundation. Yeah, so... They
literally rewired his memories to
Chanis
think
says
that Rossum was the Second Foundation.
Yeah,
And
Chanis
like
says
to the
yes,
point where
and then-
literally he gets up, Chanis, and he's like, what?
Chanis, just to be clear, he volunteered for this role. You know, the deepest of deep undercover, where your own thoughts and are being mentally changed. And they hints at this with the mental probe, right? That's like a technological version of going into someone's mind. You can't alter anything, but you can pull things out from this mental realm. And then the mule has his ability, and then the Foundation is like what this shit looks like at a, with a society behind it. Like putting research into this at scale, not just some random one-off mutant.
Now it is cool. They did mention, so the first speaker's talking to him, and he was like, look, we regained through research and training and like muscle use.
Oh yeah.
We regained the ability to have this telepathic stuff.
Yeah, no,
But
the muscle
the
use
difference is you were born You were actually born with this ability. And, like, so the second foundationers have to have eye contact with you in order to enter your mind.
Yeah.
Whereas the mule could just enter your mind from a distance.
Yeah, nobody knows. That's like he did it to the planet. Remember?
He had Wi-Fi.
He was messing with he's got like mental radio broadcast because he was messing with the workers.
I mean, even his fleet, supposedly he was sending them orders with his mind.
Yeah.
Because they didn't see him take out whatever it's called, transponder.
Yeah. Yeah. So they admit that that's where he's superior, but again,
but he's just one man, and a lot of the issue with the mule is that he is infertile, and his body, due to the mutation, which I do wonder, theoretically, like the same way that he pushed the professor. To basically he was like, oh, I can.
His body fell apart.
Yeah.
By
like
being
if
so
by
focused.
By using his power so much, and like so widespread, because he corrupted so many people and had control over so many people.
To run a whole fleet with your mind. Yeah.
And like you would make whole planets feel like they were gonna lose.
Yeah, you could affect the morale of an entire planet.
Yeah, like I do wonder if that accelerated.
Yeah.
The rate at which his body would deteriorate.
He's just pushing his mind too far. Even for him.
Yeah. But basically all of this stuff like pisses the mule off, and he has a second where he's like, what? And then he basically what is the Metal Gear
yeah, a little sound effect.
And in that moment, the speaker enters the mule's mind and erases the entire confrontation. And erases the need to find the second foundation within the mule's mind. Like he basically makes it so like he forgets about the second foundation or doesn't care about it anymore, and then he sends him back into the universe to be a beloved ruler. He actually goes back, and they're like, he'll be much happier now since he doesn't care about finding the foundation or like. He's just gonna want to take over, like, take care of the people he took over, and it's just he'll be a nice.
Chill.
He's gonna be a nice,
enjoy
chill
his life.
guy.
He won't be all consumed.
Basically, had him smoke weed.
Yeah, I know. Really, it's just mental weed. He's just chilling. He's just vibing. He ain't got no problems. He's not some grand mission and driven by hate and even it's kind of nice.
I wonder what this did to Pritchard.
Yeah. But think about it. I mean, he hated his life. One of the things where they're going back and forth. He's like, you didn't have the trauma, my childhood trauma, growing up like this, being a freak.
Why should I care about the universe when the universe didn't care about me?
That's right. Yeah, just typical angsty fucking loser trait. Because it's kind of glossed over. Like, it doesn't get into details like this, which I actually like about Asimov's style. But like, he's conducting war. He had to kill millions of people. Like, to take over whole planets. I mean, to be, like, maybe you could debate, maybe not millions, I don't know, but because these planets might not be as populated, like the Star Wars trope with really whole planets or just a couple cities, maybe, if that. But he's definitely, like, the greatest warlord in the galaxy. So, he's killed a lot of people, all because he felt like he was bullied and picked on, and he's just a weirdo. And he's a little right that he can't fit in. He's literally a mutant. No one that he knows
so
of
dramatic.
Thinks like that.
I think he would have been fine.
Yeah. He would have been fine. He could have reached out to other things like this and eventually fell into the orbit of Second Foundation.
I mean, honestly, if he was born on First Foundation, I wonder how his life would have been like.
Yeah. True. But yeah, so the first speaker erases the whole memory of this event from his mind, in the same way that Pritchard didn't really realize when it was. You lose the track of the timeline of your own life. Like, oh yeah, I forgot I was doing that or working on that.
So he just goes back and he's like, what the hell am I doing on Rossum?
Yeah, where's my empire? Like, he just goes back.
Where's my empire? Love it.
He just goes back to his palace and goes, what the hell was that about? And just kind of lives life. And
then the Chanis, they just repair his brain. Which they're like, yeah, what we did was we emptied his entire brain and we uploaded they literally say, right, that they upload, like all they had to do was upload the original brain wave or something.
Yeah. Yeah, like
I have it.
The file of his mind, maybe. But that'd be crazy. Yeah, if you have it,
I
wonder.
have it. Give me a second.
Yeah, your note there, because this is written before computers. Like, I'm sure, yeah, there were technically some very, very primitive computers. But, like, the idea of files and all that, that's interesting. Because, yeah, they just do a reset. They promise them this really is, which, you can get into a whole, do androids dream of electric sheep kind of, is it really? You would never know if it's really your mind, if it's really you in there. You could always, layers of inception, just wake up. Actually, this is the real you. But they assure him, relax. Here's all the proof that this was you. You went deep undercover. You agreed to take on this lie, and now you're in your original memory. And when he gets his original memory, he realizes where it was.
One had said, complete aphasia now. It's cleaned out, and I think without damage. It will only be necessary to return the recording of his original brainwave makeup.
Okay, so he used the word recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, we would think of it more as like a file with computer lingo.
So
he's thinking of it like a wave form almost.
So this man wakes up, Chanis, and this first speaker's there, and he's like, hey, so do you remember where the Second Foundation is? And he's like, by golly.
By Selden.
By Selden, I do. It actually isn't
but
what he says.
We don't get to hear where that is.
Yeah. So Freddy has a theory.
I have a theory, which I really hope isn't because I saw something and, I don't know, make fun of it. But is it in you? Is the foundation in our hearts? Like, is it gonna be something like it's really in the minds? Like the foundation is not a place. It's this, almost secret society. It's a thing. It's a teaching. It's a belief system that spreads more than anything else. Why that kind of can't be true, even if they play with that a little bit. If Asimov plays with that, it's like, well, no, you guys like trained and run somewhere. There's some HQ somewhere where all this is happening, where this brain change is happening. So, I don't know. What do you think of that?
I think it's possible. It
doesn't have to be. I think I was thinking of that more because he tries to compare a lot of the religiousness around Selden. He uses a lot of Christian terms and stuff like that. I was picking up on the way some people describe.
I'm going to be honest. It feels like one of those predictions that's like the 1% game that we were watching with your mom.
What?
Where like it makes sense.
You
I don't know if I'm overthinking it.
Yeah, exactly. Because there's a part where he says like Selden lives with you, Selden walks with you like in your daily life and blah blah blah. Like it just reminds me like Jesus is supposed to be with you. It's not some far off distant God.
There is an actual HQ for Foundation 2.
There's got to be because where were they doing all these mind?
They're literally
swaps.
meeting. They're having meetings, and there's like interludes.
Yeah, that's in part 1, right? Because I got a little bit into part 2. And
in interlude, one of the interludes, two speakers are passing each other, and they like pass a note to each other or something.
But mentally, right? Isn't this all done mentally? He describes like we're reading transcriptions of these meetings because we're reading all this from the future. We're reading all this from.
I can look because I actually highlighted it because I knew this was going to come up somehow.
Yeah, but no, it does like a cool thing with like they didn't really say any of this. They like thought this. There's a bunch of just telepaths in a room.
Oh,
secret society telepaths.
Sorry, the thing that truly threw the mule off his rocker. It wasn't the knowledge that the Foundation wasn't where they are. It was the knowledge that the Foundation wasn't where they are after all, but he had already called his fleet from Tazandia to them, which means that the fleet was going to get there in 6 hours. However, the Second Foundation had already sent their Second Foundation like the elders that were there on Rossum, that are Second Foundation people, and leaders. They had all been sent to Calgan. So they were going to go to Calgan and basically start unconverting
Releasing all his
Or-
mental slaves.
Yeah, or like they were gonna just like turn all his mental slaves against him.
Yeah.
Um,
Because
so he
Calgans
was
is
gonna
the mule's
return.
capital.
He was gonna bomb a planet that has nothing to do with anything,
Mm-hmm.
and then he was gonna go home, and he was gonna find that his entire empire, except for the people that are with him,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just
Or-
whoever's out actually on campaign with him at the time.
yeah, like everybody else was gonna be
Mm-hmm.
hating his guts.
Yeah, because they're going to realize that he mentally enslaved them.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a giant revolt on his capital. But that can't be what happened at the end, right? Because, I mean, doesn't it say that he just...
No,
Kinda
they
fades out?
let him keep the entire empire
Yeah,
because they knew he was only gonna last like 5 years.
yeah,
so
yeah,
screw
because
it.
his mutation
And
makes
if-
him not live long.
And because they implanted the benevolent god mod,
Yeah.
I don't know, that's not the... But basically because... Why does my guy not want to run? Because they basically made it so that he would just rule and not want to continually expand, and like the Foundation even prospered.
Yeah.
And actually, well, that's part 2, but
I mean, you can get into a little bit.
wait, I'm looking for...
Yeah. The whole Star's End too. I'll get to that point, but we make sure we talk about Tazenda being Star's End, like it's like an anagram or whatever you call it, where you flip the letters around. And not Pritchard. Oh my God, Janice. Janice. He makes it seem like he, discovered all that. And it's kind of cool how he bases it from Terminus, not Terminus. What?
No,
What happened?
he based what from Terminus?
No, what's the Empire homeworld? No, I can't believe Trantor. Jesus.
Well, no, Trantor is no more.
No, I'm saying that. Remember when they were trying to find Star's End, like when the very beginning of this book, where they're trying to find
Yeah,
where
they go.
it could
They
be.
go to Trantor, the university on Trantor.
Yeah.
That's where Miss Ebling
Eblenice.
finds stuff.
Yeah. But when they're trying to find it, that's how they get Tazenda, and then from Tazenda, which they make it look like it could be the secret hidden, then he gets told it's Rossum, but even that was just the implanted lie. What are you looking for?
I'm looking for that, the way it was described.
But which part?
It goes, I have words from the first speaker. There was a half apprehensive flicker in the other's eye. Intersection point, question mark?
You're talking about the meetings where they have their little
Yeah. And he
closed
says,
room meeting
"Yes,
of the minds, literally
may
meeting
we
of the
live
minds.
to see the dawn."
Mhm. That's what he says at the end? The
Yeah.
third interlude? My point was just that you're reading from the Galactic Encyclopedia.
No,
Like
that
in the-
wasn't. Those are all. The interludes are,
Or live, I guess you could say.
I think. I don't.
But
Because
no,
usually.
it is, because it's describing... I'm saying you're getting it out of their mind, because something's describing to us that this isn't really what was said. But because we don't have precognitive abilities, we don't talk to each other in our minds. Whatever this narrator is of this book, basically. You don't remember that part? Yeah, it's
No. I don't remember that.
yeah, it's okay. It's just a cool detail that it's wording it, that he's just making a point to be like, you're talking about beings that communicate telepathically, and so, no, they didn't say these words in the common way we might use the word say. They thought this. It describes even like the look, like it was just the slightest, twist of a smile and the pointing of a finger. It's not triggering nothing. That's funny. Now you know how I feel.
No,
when
I
you're-
admit I was kind of in shit.
When
You're
your
gonna have to-
crazy memory.
You might have to repeat that.
That there's a part where he says, I'm saying the details from those conversations, that it's just mental conversations, that nobody's saying words, it's the slightest move of a smile, the pointing
I
of a
thought
finger.
that was only when Janice and the mule get into like the actual mind fight.
Maybe, I don't know. I thought that was when they were talking about the Second Foundation people, when they're meeting and trying to figure out what to do.
Oh, maybe.
Like, because
But-
that's what the interlude's all about. The interlude's them, no?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess I just remember. I remember that for sure.
It might also be
mentioned,
happening, yeah, with their little...
when Janice and I can go to.
It's
the
written
ancient-
very cool, but now I just thought of South Park when they have the psychic battle. Like, oh no, like shooting. He's making fun of all these TV psychics, and they're just shooting their little psychic powers. So there's a little bit of that, but it was actually written much cooler.
Dang it! I was 1 kill away from a bombardment.
Huh?
You. Yeah. Whatever.
Yeah. What else you wanted to add from the plot? I mean, you basically covered it. They tried to find out. There's a longer, cooler part. We could have had more details about how they even found Tazenda. But, I mean, you already know that they are being guided by... He had some device, too. What was the device that Janice had? That whole interrogation, that whole, like, proving that he was actually a Second Foundation man.
Well, there was the hyperwave and the hyper relay thing that
he was secretly, like, the noiseless click of his finger or something could activate it. Remember, he was, like, operating something super...
But it wasn't Janice,
That was Pritchard to the mule?
Yeah, Pritchard, like, basically he had a way of sending a message to the ship,
Mm-hmm.
and the ship would relay that message
Yeah,
out
back to the mule?
to someone who had
Okay.
the other end of it or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And Pritchard was the only one that had I think it was a contact, I don't remember if it was like a wristwatch or something
Yeah.
that he could, like, that had the correct radio wave to communicate with
That's right. They were on one wave, and then
Yeah.
he knew another, like, radio channel
Yeah,
to
so
be on.
Janice couldn't do that, and
Mhm.
but he actually uses that against Pritchard when Pritchard basically pulls a gun on him and is, like, accusing him of being a Second Foundation guy,
Yeah.
because he was like, oh, the mule and I both tried to find the Second Foundation, and you just happened to figure out this planet, and you just happened, like, you've had so much success.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, so you're accusing me because I've been too successful? And he
Yeah.
was like, yes.
By the low standards you set
Yeah.
for me. Yeah.
And Pritchard's basically like, yes.
Mm-hmm.
100%
You're
yes.
too lucky, yeah.
You're too lucky.
He's like, I work with a mutant freak, and you're too lucky.
He's like, I met Han Solo. It's
Yeah.
not you, bro.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I lost my thought.
Um.
Man, that mom brain's strong,
The
yo.
mom brain. Don't worry, she's sound asleep. You can. You're being mentally controlled by the baby.
I really am.
It's really
It's
true.
crazy.
We joke like the Mass Effect stuff too. The mind control. The Cthulhu's of the babies. But yeah, what'd you think about the jump to psychic powers coming? I guess it's not out of nowhere. We get it.
I mean, it
touched
makes
on
sense,
in part
'cause
2.
That was the whole point of the second book, saying
Mm-hmm.
That the Second Foundation would be the only ones that are able to do anything about it. It's
Yeah.
this freaking gun game.
Yeah, it's gun game, and the whole Second Foundation is psychologists, right? And
Yeah.
not in our modern sense, but actual people that study the
They're
mind.
like the psychohistory guys and
Yeah.
the mind guys and like
Mhm.
the whole. It was kind of my theory where I knew the Second Foundation wasn't really gonna have. I don't doubt it has some scientists because they wanted to at least
Yeah, you gotta
give
turn.
these guys a fighting chance.
Mm-hmm.
But the innovative people and the actual hard science people went to Foundation 1. Foundation 2 was I was thinking it was going to be like artsy fartsy.
Yeah, that's true.
I was a little right. in
Yeah,
that,
I mean, but also
it's at least not. It is still a science, though, so I was wrong.
Yeah,
But it is a.
it's more tied to almost neuroscience. It's both, to be fair. It's just I think when people think of psychologists, they think of like therapy only,
It's just like.
which this is not what's
yeah,
going on.
that's not what it is.
Yeah, it's understanding what the metaphysics of the mind are, like what this mental realm is. How the hell are we thinking things?
They probably also had some light philosophy classes or something.
Yeah, of course, but that's what I mean by like, what is the mind? Think of it as just mind, not not just, your emotions are sad or trauma or something like that. Like, no, we're trying to figure out how it is
I
that
mean,
we think.
even the way they were able to outmaneuver the mule,
Mm-hmm.
because they just were able to outthink him, knowing like.
But you can say it's true for Foundation as well. It's not just
Uh,
tech that they outmaneuver people.
What
It's
is
not-
it like? Isn't profiling and
Yeah.
police work fall under this?
Yeah, of course. I mean, all of it is, you're not treating them like an individual. The whole part of Harry Seldon's like, no, you're going to fulfill a role. Like, if XYZ happens, someone's going to do this, what I mean? Someone in the crowd is going to react to this, even if you don't. I don't know, the guy next to you will, or in a year later, someone will. Stuff like that. But they have to take it on an even further level once they unlocked this. But do you think that, like, I'm sure we'll get an explanation eventually, but this ability to the psychic power, wouldn't it have to be, you would have like a separate set of Harry Seldon data, unless, like you said, you knew that he predicted that they would crack this code eventually. Like, his plan had to involve them figuring this out. That one of the foundations would, if the mule was so unique that he would, everybody thought that went against the Harry Seldon plan, and it's proved that he didn't, then obviously.
I mean, I guess there is this one line where, I don't remember if it's the first speaker or Chanis. One of them tells the mule that they are the true protectors of Harry Seldon's plan.
Yeah.
Because they're basically the failsafe. And, like, I think their point is, I don't know if this answers your question, but their point is to be secretive and just keep the plan going.
Yeah.
Because we literally hear, like, the first speaker, when he releases the mule, Janice is like, well, why are you doing that? And he's like, because the mule will go. He will, with our new programming, leave. He will die, and the Foundation will come again. Somehow. Like, the plan will get back on track. But it was with the nudge of the Second Foundation.
Yeah. That's why I say psychic secret society. Oh, sorry.
Wow.
That was crazy. I'm sorry.
So you're going to get on my case because I occasionally yawn.
You yawn and eat snacks.
And my yawning and snacks.
You can control that.
I can what?
You can control it.
You have no idea. I've been wanting a snack for the past, 5 minutes.
Well, where is it? We can...
I have my snacks here.
Pause. No, relax. We're going to end this recording soon. Because we basically covered a lot of it. Did you get to the Seldon Plan chapter of part 2?
I did.
With the, I'm going to call it pyramid texts? You know why I would say that?
Because the girl's just doing her homework.
No, with the writing on the wall, I'll say. That mean anything to you? Writing on the wall?
Like, when she's talking into the machine?
Nope. Alright, I don't think you're there yet.
What do you mean I'm not there yet?
It's a little later, I think. I mean,
Let me see.
I'm not on the first part. I'm past her little story.
I'll tell you right now.
Let
I'm
me
on
see.
mathematics.
We're racing to our respective apps here. I'm on the Seldon's plan. You're on what? Mathematics? What? What is that? It's Arcadia and then Seldon's plan.
Oh, okay. Wait.
What book are you on?
No, I already read. That's what I'm saying. Chapter 8, Seldon's plan. I'm done with that.
Well, where he's pointing out that the whole plan's on the wall, no?
What do you mean on the wall?
What do you mean? It's all written down. It's all around him.
On the wall?
We're going to go to our bookmark here. Sorry, viewers. I'm going to get blasted in the video game here.
You're sure? Because what I have read so far is Arcadia.
Uh-huh.
She's doing her homework.
They stood together in the light. It's the main portions of they stood together in the light.
No, I don't think I've...
Each wall was 30 feet
No,
long.
yeah. I haven't read this yet.
Okay, that's what I was like, you would know if you got to that part.
Kingslayer.
Yeah, I guess just a little trailer for the next part of our conversation when you get there. Like, yeah, the Foundation is qualitatively, I think, more. They know the Seldon's plan. They like really know it. Because, like I said, there's like a faith aspect, like, just gotta believe he's gonna be with you and it's gonna come back. 'Cause that's what triggered it when you said that, like.
Well, funny you should say that, because I highlighted in the chapter where you meet Arcadia, she's 14, she's the granddaughter of Bay, and she's on the Foundation, Foundation 1.
Yeah.
Foundation 1, after the fall of the mule, has been able to bounce back, baby. They're making more money. They're actually more, in a funny way, the mule is almost like a necessary evil, because thanks to the mule, they're now more democratic again. They're like...
Because you mentioned there was a lot of wealth, like we were saying in the last one, concentrated in the hands of the few.
Yeah, wealth is correctly distributed now. Yeah. There aren't all these injustices.
It has a World War II vibe for America, like that made us...
These are all words that she's saying, by the way.
I know, yeah. The superpower... I know, her writing thing was so well written, funny enough. She like has to write an essay for school, but she's literally related to one of the greatest heroes.
Oh yeah, you're ahead of me, because it says jump to location 16 something.
Yeah,
and I'm not there yet. I'm catching up though.
It's pretty cool. I'm gonna reread it though for this, because I got a little dude. But that's why I jumped in and I took that note. I was like, oh, it's like the pyramid text where they're literally writing this for posterity on into the walls. Pretty damn cool.
Think that our confidence in ourselves, in our nation, and in Harry Seldon's great plan should drive from our hearts and minds all uncertainties.
But that's at Foundation 1, huh?
That's her living on Foundation 1 saying that.
Okay, so that makes sense.
That she wrote that in her paper, and she admits there is an aside where she goes, oh, this is getting corny. But she also mentions, but teacher would like that, so keeping it. But that's probably more or less how everybody's feeling.
Yeah. And it makes sense for Foundation 1 to do that. I forgot, I was thinking that was Foundation 2. But yeah, she's at 1, and that's how they all think.
She's growing up on 1.
Yeah, but they have a more vague...
Which technically, that's where Beta was originally from. She was from Foundation 1. She was an underground Democrat, and she met her husband, and I think she was under some heat because he took her off planet and took her to his home planet of Haven. So our little girl, her grandparents are from Haven and from Foundation 1. Somehow, because they end up surviving. The mule just leaves them, and he's like, I'm going to let you go since y'all were like my only friends. Even though we're not friends anymore. But whatever, I'm letting you guys go. So I don't know where they end up going to. That's all left hanging in the air. We just know that the granddaughter is now being raised on Foundation 1.
Yeah. I'm sure it'll get filled in. You don't have to get super into that because we're just trying to cover part 1.
The character of this little girl is hilarious.
Yeah, she's gonna be super
she
cool.
Basically, this guy comes up to her window, and she's like, "Why are you coming up to my window?" Or like she tells him, because he's hanging on her like windowsill, and he's like, "Can you let me in?" And she's 14, and he's clearly not.
Yeah, she's around 30.
But she starts calling him young man, and she like tries to act all like, ooh la la, look, I'm older. Ooh, it doesn't work. But she's
thank
like,
God. I wasn't sure. I was like, I know ages were a little younger back then, but
no,
I was like, where are we going with this?
Thankfully, it all stays.
Yeah.
It all stays fairly.
The exact opposite too, when he says to jump ahead when to kill the husband or whatever.
Well, that's literally the line I'm about to. So first this guy's at the window and she's like, ooh la la. She goes, I can't let you in because the window's protected by it's been keyed so that only people that live in the house can come into the house. But he convinces her to let him in, and he's like, "You're sure that me coming in here isn't gonna like trigger anything, and it's not gonna be a mark on my character?" And she's like, "Of course it is. If the second I hear someone walking around, I'm gonna say that you forced yourself in through my window."
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, "But how will you explain the fact that I came in through the window that was protected and you lowered the protection to let me in?"
Yeah.
And she's like, "It was never protected. I was lying to you."
Yeah. And that she has a baseball bat.
Yeah, and then she's like, he's basically like, "Well, I can harm you right now." And she's like, "No, you can't. I have a baseball bat under my bed.
Yeah, very
And I'm
confidently.
actually quite strong for a girl.
Yeah, and I can get there quicker than you.
Yeah, I can get there quicker than you can get to me."
Mm-hmm.
And basically they have a lot of back and forth because he's just kind of like prodding, and then she mentions to him that he's been expected because her dad told the housemaid to take a month off, and
Yeah.
he set up the guest bedroom like if someone's coming, but he hasn't told her anything, even though he tells her everything.
Yeah, you
There's
start
no
seeing
mention
her
of her
intellect
mom, by the way, so
shine
I'm
through.
wondering what's happening there.
That's
But
true.
um
Yeah, she has a.
But so the guy asked her, he's like, basically the question comes out like, what does she think of him coming through the window? Because she was like, for someone who's trying to be secretive, you're really doing a bad job of it. I don't know why you came through my
And he
window.
seemed genuinely confused and like, what? I'm being super stealthy. I'm sneaking through a window.
And she was like, "That's stupid."
Mhm.
And she goes,
If I had a lie, I would meet with him a whole bunch of times, and
"I got you. I have it. It's just not scrolling. Scroll." She said, "Have you heard the sayings of Salvor Hardin?" Hardin.
sorry,
My bad.
Mr. Hardin in SAP. It's Asimov in SAP.
Oh no. Did I lose my place?
No, come on, you can't laugh and lose your place on the Kindle.
It wasn't my fault.
I
It
can't
was
wait, by the
funny.
way, for people that don't know. So I'm listening to it, and she's reading it, but I really do want to build out the physical copies. I want to buy the old.
It would be nice to have.
There's really a cool.
So
we saw them at an old bookstore once.
wait before I lose it.
Mm-hmm.
So the line goes, "Well, he used to say that only a lie that wasn't ashamed of itself could possibly succeed.
Mm-hmm.
He also said that nothing can be true, but everything had to sound true. Well, when you come in through a window, it's a lie that's ashamed of itself, and it doesn't sound true."
Mm-hmm.
So he later tells her father, 14, because he asked how old she was. Her dad's like, "Turned 14 yesterday."
Yeah.
And he's like, 14, great galaxy. Tell me, has she ever said she expects to marry someday?
Yeah.
And he said, if she does, he hasn't told me. And he said, well, if she ever does, shoot him, the one she's going to marry, I mean.
Yeah.
I'm serious. Life could hold no greater horror than living with what she'll be like when she's 20. I don't mean to offend you, of course.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't offend me, I think I know what you mean.
Yeah. Like, she won't be able to get anything by, like, Jesus. She's not going to win any debate, any fight with her ever.
And this is who you think our daughter will be like.
Yeah, because I hope so. She's really with it.
I love it,
The way she...
but this is going to be fun.
What was the phrase? I know.
There's a meme online that's like, I want my daughter to be a strong, independent leader of companies or something, or like I want my daughter to be strong, independent, smart, all these things. I just need to survive raising her.
Yeah. You make it all sound cool, but it's like, yeah, but it's directed at you at first.
Yeah.
Can you read that part again? The quote, the very first part of that sentence. I love it. Only a lie can be successful. It's something like that.
Well, he used to say that only a lie that wasn't ashamed of itself could possibly succeed.
Mm-hmm.
He also said that nothing had to be true, but everything had to sound true.
But only a lie that isn't ashamed of itself could succeed. I'm like, that's cool, man. Just think about that with real world politics and different stuff like that.
Everybody has forgotten that.
Yeah, that's a great one. We should probably close it here. I mean,
I think we're good.
One, I think we covered part 1 of book 3. Pretty
part
good.
Part 1, and like we dipped into part 2.
Yeah, that you meet the daughter at the beginning of part 1. And you'll read about the pyramid text Selden plan point next time.
I know, I'm 40% in. That's not
Yeah.
bad for
Oh, of course. What?
one day.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You read it crazy fast. Yeah, I like this. Like you said, it is very interesting. It gets into really cool concepts out of nowhere. Like
Man,
this one.
alright, don't be mad. I almost feel the need to find the interlude where I missed that the speakers were all
Oh, yeah. If you
talking
want
in
to
their mind.
peruse the interlude, yeah, let's see if you can find that.
Interlude.
It's now that he's introduced this, I've only read up to book 3. Yeah, so this is it. I don't even remember if I finished book 3, so that's why this is interesting for me. But definitely not 4 through 7. So I wonder how big of a role this is going to play, and I can't really imagine what the next plot twist would be with some other, like, aliens. I don't think there's aliens in Asimov
Okay.
stuff.
So I guess, yeah, I am still in Arcadia, by the way.
Oh, okay.
My bad. Okay. Oh, part 1 was called Search by the Mule, by the way.
Okay.
And I'm looking for... Oh, the interludes are, like, mixed into the chapters.
Uh-oh. Can you search by the word? Right?
I probably could.
Yeah.
Interlude. Excuse me. The only thing I don't like about the Kindle is that it's not as... Interlude. Wow. I don't like the keyboard of the Kindle.
I wonder when,
Interlude.
and for him writing this too, I was like, I when you think of like psychic type sci-fis, I usually think of the 60s and 70s. I think of Heinlein, Stranger in a Strange World. Jesus, I just got blasted. Stranger in a Strange
Interlude.
Land? Why am I
The
blanking on that?
Executive Council of the Second Foundation was in session. To us, they are merely voices. Neither the exact scene of the meeting nor the identity of those present are essential at this point, nor, strictly speaking, can we even consider an exact reproduction of any part of the session, unless we wish to sacrifice completely even the minimum comprehensibility we have a right to expect. We deal here with psychologists, and not merely psychologists, let us say rather scientists with a psychological orientation. That is, men whose fundamental concept of scientific philosophy is pointed in an entirely different direction from all the Orients we know. The psychology of scientists... I just got kicked. The psychology of scientists brought up among the axioms deduced from the observational habits of physical science was only the vaguest relationship to psychology, which is about as far as I can go in explaining color to a blind man, with myself as blind as the audience.
Yeah, I mean, with myself as blind as the audience, like, who's he talking to? That's what I mean by the narrator. Like, the way that this
Speech as known to us was unnecessary.
Yeah.
I will highlight this for you.
Okay.
A fragment of a sentence amounted almost to long-winded redundancy, a gesture, a grunt, the curve of a facial line, even a significantly timed pause yielded informational juice. Liberty is taken therefore, of freely translating a small portion of the conference into extremely specific word combinations necessary to minds oriented from childhood to a physical science philosophy, even at the risk of losing more delicate nuances.
Yeah. Think about what's lost translating from two languages to another. You got to decide on a certain word at the end of the day, even though other ones might fit. That's what I meant by he's saying that telepathic communication, a whole bunch of guys sitting in a room debating. There's so much nuance. It's like describing color to a blind person. Like, I don't know how to explain fully what they were expressing, so I'll choose these words even though we know there's meaning lost. I just thought it was a cool way to describe telepathic conversations. And then he goes out of the way to make a note like, you can't really understand what this is like. You agree, right? That's what it means, right?
Yes.
I'm wondering what you're...
Sorry, I'm wondering how, I'm wondering if the baby pressed something.
Oh, you got some new You got
Because I feel like
backpacked
I
by
would have
baby.
remembered all of this.
Oh, if you like skipped it from a baby attack.
Maybe.
She's so strong. If you guys don't have kids, or if you do and
'Cause,
remember,
how did I miss? I feel like I missed this entire section or something.
it's not long. It's a thing, no?
I mean,
I
it's
don't-
longer than you think, though. Like,
Yeah, 'cause you got it on granny size font. Her font's gigantic. I would actually
fuck
read slower
you.
with your font because it's so slow.
Because you'd see the words.
Yeah, I don't know. When you're in my being, when you're an enlightened psychic reader, I just absorb it. I don't use your words. It's a primitive means of expression. I use vibrations in my ear through Wi-Fi.
Yeah, I missed this entire chapter.
I mean, nothing to it. It's just them describing.
They're kind of. I mean, this is some good stuff in here, though.
Yeah, I mean, there is the whole alien and time travel and how he predicts Kennedy being shot, all that stuff. But besides that,
We are, of course, highly vulnerable under mass attack, particularly an attack led by such mental phenomenon as a mule.
does that change anything? I'm like, what do you...
I mean, good to know that we're terrified.
Yeah, that the actual Second Foundation people.
Yeah.
But they're terrified of his military strength. Like his actual warships, right?
I think. Although it doesn't necessarily say.
Yeah. I've got the confidence, the way that Asimov writes the character. I don't know how to word that, but he's so good at writing these confident, I have you now, kind of characters that just explain that they're not surprised by the villain.
However, it was only through penetration to Phase 3 that we could determine after the fact the possibility of his anomalous action in the presence of another human being who had an honest affection for him.
Which is Bay.
Yeah, and since such an anomalous action would depend upon the presence of such another human being at the appropriate time, to the extent the whole affair was fortuitous, our agents are certain that it was a woman who killed the mule psychologist, a woman for whom the mule felt trust out of sentiment, and whom he therefore did not control mentally, simply because she liked him.
Mm-hmm.
Since that event, and for those who want the details, a mathematical treatment of the subject has been drawn up for the Central Library, which warned us we have held the mule off by unorthodox methods with which we daily risk Selden's entire scheme of history. That is all. With Selden's original scheme bent to the fracture point, and I must emphasize that we have blundered badly in this whole matter in our horrible lack of foresight. We are faced with an irreversible breakdown of the plan. Time is passing us by. I think there is only one solution left us, and even that is risky. We must allow the mule to find us, in a sense. This would have... Another pause in which he gathered the reactions, then, I repeat, in a sense. And so this was where the plan was drawn up.
Yeah. So that's what I mean by, it's just cool, almost behind-the-scenes facts. The story's... You didn't miss anything in the story. You didn't lose the plot.
Yeah, but how did I miss that entire... I mean, I didn't, but I probably would have been able to predict that they weren't going to give him the actual location of the...
Well, he says in a sense, yeah. You got baby swiped when she throws those hands. She probably whacked a couple pages down or something.
She must have,
funny. But clean enough to only block out the interlude is hilarious.
I don't know how else I would have missed all of that.
Because, to skip to where you're back in the story.
Because I have to admit, I have decent memory.
Yeah, no, of course. That's what I mean. She must have literally hit, next, section. And so you skip the little interlude. But again, you don't have to dwell on it. Last thing I do want to bring up before I forget.
I'm going to dwell on it.
Do you think Asimov thinks there's free will in this? That's our dog, everybody. Give it up for Ben.
Woo!
Greatest
Clap,
sound
clap, clap,
design.
clap.
The bane of any sound design.
Wait, can you back out so I can go back in the game?
Oh, yes.
Dude,
I
I
don't know
think
if
that there's free will. I think
Oh.
it's kind of interesting.
Wait, we got like
'Cause
2 more kills. Let me use up my...
he clearly feels
Mm-hmm.
to a certain extent that humans as a mass can be predicted, but the individuals still have, like, if you're thinking that Asimov somehow relates to like Harry Seldon,
Mm-hmm.
Harry Seldon kind of believes that, like, yeah, the individuals can do shit, but
Yeah.
that was kind of the point of the boring part of book 2,
Mm-hmm.
where even though these people, it was Devers and Barr,
Yeah, they
they
ran
kept
around.
doing stuff and running around,
Chickens
and
with their head
they
cut
had
off.
the free will to try to do all these things, but
Mhm.
they didn't affect anything at the end of the day. The plan continued on its course without them
Yeah.
and their futile attempts.
I was gonna say, I think he does think this, and people be like, but that's the paradox, because how do you get emergent fatalism, emergent determinate, like, at a large scale, but none of the parts are determined? And I'm like, I don't know, I guess is the answer, but I'm like, but yeah, he still thinks all these people choose a bunch of different things. It's like being determined to eat. I know you're going to eat something, like either you die or you're going to eat something, but I don't know what you're going to eat. You still got a million free will ways to do that. Go rob somebody.
And as a species, we know everyone's gonna eat,
Yeah. Yeah, so I think,
except for that one guy that decided to
yeah, goes against his wiring. but it's
meditate
like,
himself to death.
Mhm. So it's like, you'd have to account for that. But on a large scale, I'm going to assume the species that evolved, even if it doesn't tell me anything about their day-to-day or what they choose. So some events are so cosmically necessary. Like, so... You're in this one.
I
You're
am?
just looking at...
I
yeah.
mean, I'm just clicking on
Oh,
things.
okay. Yeah, but you'd still agree that's the whole point, that you still have free will at your scale, at the life that you live scale.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay, I agree. Yeah, I don't know anything else. We should probably just call it there.
Probably.
For
I really want a snack.
part 1 of book 3, part 1 in the books.
I actually like, by the way,
Hmm.
I like doing it like this while we read.
Yeah, oh, for sure. I mean, that was the
Instead
whole
of
point.
tackling the entire book.
No, we're trying. We just... life. We try to record these every day, really. That day's reading. But, yeah, we'll see how far we get tomorrow.
Our monitor to charge.
Mhm.
All right.
We'll see. Thanks for
Bye.
watching. Do all the stuff. Likes and subscribes and all that. See you next time.
Comment.